Hey everyone, welcome to the first specific positions video where we're going to be looking at which defenders would maybe be good options to start out the season. So we're looking specifically at defenders. I'm going to break them down into different price points. We're going to look at a couple between the 4 and 4.5 million price range. We'll go up to the 5 to 5.5 and then the 6 plus. And know again that there are other good defenders around the league, but two things that we're keeping in mind is one, they're good fantasy wise as well. There are a lot of good center backs in the league that don't really get forward, and while they might clean sheets, that might be all that you're relying on. And as well, it's to start the season. So some teams don't have as great fixtures at the start, but they have really good defenders. So maybe you want to get them later on than right now at the start of the season. So without further ado, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We've actually been doing really good with that. We're one away, so be the 100th subscriber, and then we'll pick a new point to go. But it looks like we will have triple digits going into the season, which is awesome and very cool. So thank you very much. We will start the video. All right, so starting with our 4 to 4.5 options, generally these are going to be people that we wouldn't mind having to sit on the bench and players that we do need in our squads to make room elsewhere in the squads to get some more premium options. First one I'm looking at is Coney de Winter. And now if I wasn't a fan of Juve, I probably wouldn't even have come across his name, but I did recognize it. And then I noticed that he's on loan to Juve, probably given the 4.0 million price point while before the loan occurred. So it means that he's probably not going to see time in the youth squad and stuff. He did not get much time, if any, at Juve last year. I was aware of him, but he did not get much time until basically things were done and they didn't have much to play for anymore. But a team like Empoli taking De Winter on loan, they probably wouldn't take him if he wasn't going to be playing. And at the 4.0 million price point, I'd say it's the cheapest possible price you get anyone in fantasy. And so to have a potential playing one, I think is massive. If he is in a regular in the Empoli lineup, I could literally see De Winter being in my team all year long. Especially at the start of the season where Empoli has really good fixtures. So Empoli can definitely pull off some clean sheets to start out the season. And De Winter obviously has gone through a good academy and has the opportunity to get some good fantasy points for you at a cheap price to kick off the season. Here's the next one looking at was Brat Jim City. He's been with Atalanta for a while and did go looking back to last season. He was starting the majority of their games. Now they do have quite a few decent named defenders in the squad, so there could definitely be some rotation. But even just looking at the last, I think I looked at the last like 6 game weeks, and he started 5 of them. So he might not be the defender that goes forward, scores goals, gets assists, but at a 4.5 price point, it's hard to get defenders in the big squads at 4.5 or below. So I'd say he's a good option as well. Atalanta, good fixture run to start. And yeah, I have a feeling he will probably be in my starting 11. I'm obviously going to, as we get close to kickoff of the season, I'll be looking at projected 11s and stuff, and these decisions might change. But for now, I'd say he's someone to look at if you're looking to save money, get into a big squad. Just don't be looking for the big attack returns. And the last two, both coming out of Fiorentina, both are 4.5 million. We have Igor and Venuti. Fiorentina, about a mid-tier team, probably mid to high-tier team as far as I'd say. They were both regularly starting last year every game. And again, just if you're looking to get into a big team that can get clean sheets, while keeping the price point down to use money elsewhere, I'd say either of these are good to go. The fixtures are okay to start the season. That's not why I would be targeting them. It would just be to get defenders from teams that can keep clean sheets in for cheap. So these are players, and if they're facing the Inters, the AC Milans, these should be players that we're okay with sitting on the bench, need be. And if one of our players unexpectedly doesn't play, at least they'll come in and hopefully get at least 1 or 2 points for you to add to the week. Okay, and so those are our 4 to 4.5 options. As season gets closer, and if we need to do another one of these, we can. If transfers come in or big players from big teams get loaned out. But for the 5 to 5.5 options, I kept this part really short because at this price point, this is basically the price point you're going to get a starting defender on a big team that and isn't necessarily hugely attacking. And so that's where you can find all of these, where you're going to find the Benucci's, the Bastonis, and all of them that generally start for the big clubs that can get clean sheets. And that's great. And so instead of listing every single one of those, because any of those could do damage, and you even know that a big team like AC Milan can get a clean sheet against an Inter Milan or a Juventus as well. So you're probably normally starting them in the squad anyway, regardless of fixtures. But Roma has exceptionally good fixtures right now, and that's why I'd be looking to get in at least 1, if not 2, of the Roma defenders to kick off your season that are starting. So we're looking at our Smallings, Ibanez, Mancini, stuff like that to get into your squad and hopefully be getting 3, 4, maybe even 5 clean sheets to start out the season. And so that's where the players are coming in. I know I had Karsdorp part of my squad a large part of last year. He's coming in at 5.5. So you're looking at I'd be at least looking at a Roma defender right now in the 5 to 5.5 price range. One of the players I just heard, I'll be looking at the friendlies, seeing which ones are consistently starting, which ones are in the projected squads, and go from there. I'd say Karsdorp is the 5.5 a little more pricey than them because he is a wingback and probably more likely to go forward. Although at the end of last year, his starts and staying on for at least 60 minutes was a little spotty, so I don't know if I'll stick to that. But he's probably the one I'm looking at right now. You could save the 0.5 and put that elsewhere, which would also be good though. And now for our big premium defenders, the 6.0 plus options. There are a couple. I've singled out 2 of them, but I'll try to touch on another one as well. First off, we got Theo Hernandez. He is your Trent Alexander-Arnold of the of Serie A. If you've never done Serie A before, but you've done the English game, this is your Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's on set pieces. He took some penalties last year. He gets forward, gets those assists, scores the goals. Despite putting in a lot of money for a defender, I'd say he is worth it. And knowing if I had played before last year, he would have been in my starting squad last year, and that's partially why I fell behind early. But Theo Hernandez, I can almost say will definitely be in my squad to start off the year if he doesn't get injured. For these players, the fixtures don't really matter too much. They're going to be starting one way or another. I would start Theo Hernandez against Inter Milan, and he's just consistently in the team. So for sure, I would be saying look at Theo Hernandez to start out the season. The other very attacking defender from last year, Christian Barahi. He's also on free kicks where he got a lot of his points. I think he got 2 in one game last year once. Gets forward, not as much I would say for as Theo Hernandez. And I'm flirting with having Barahi in my squad or not. Another year older, so who knows if he will be slowing down at all. But he is a defender that you can count on to get attacking returns more often than most. There are other attacking defenders from last year. I know Skriniar is one that I am looking at potentially getting in, consistently getting into the Inter back line as well. So arguably better option than Barahi. Another big one from last year who's not actually, I think it's only 5, is Singo. He was very good last year for Torino. But I do think now that he's in the 5 bracket rather than the 4.5, I think it was a steal at 4.5. I just think there are a lot of options that are very similar, that'll get similar production to Singo. Like, Bonucci gets forward on the crosses. He's also in the Juve defense, so more likely for clean sheets than a Torino defender. So maybe if he's on a bigger team, I'd be thinking more along the lines of Singo. But I'm not going to go with him, I think, at the start of this season. But these are all the defenders that I'm kind of highlighting in these price points right now that I'm kind of taking a look at. Obviously, there's others, and if we need to focus in more, let me know. Let me know if you have any defenders that you'd like to point out that I missed here that you think should have been added, or if you think that these players that I've said to stay away from. I'd love to hear your opinions down below in the comments. Please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Take care.